How did I attract a narcissist? In this video I'm going to explain a little bit about how that happened to me. Maybe this is a question you've asked yourself as well. So this is a bit of a tough one, and in fact this is the second time I've recorded this video because it is quite triggering. So, set yourself aside some time to get grounded, get centered, but at the end of this video you'll have hopefully an increased awareness of what's been going on for you, because it didn't happen out of the blue. Okay, so some of you may already know that I married a sociopath. The marriage lasted for about 2 decades, but this wasn't the only narcissist in my life by any means. They were coming out of the woodwork at me. Work colleagues, friends, acquaintances, you name it, they were there. And when I realised this pattern of negative people showing up in my life, it was further proof, as if I didn't need more, that there was something that I didn't understand that was going on inside of me that made me a narcissist magnet. Hi, my name's Sarah and I'm a transformational therapist and personal development coach, and I help people get their amazing, fantastic lives back on track after narcissistic abuse. So in order to be able to discuss this in some depth and to have gained this understanding, I've had to do an awful lot of trauma processing work, inner work on myself, to kind of get to this level of being able to understand the magnitude of what happened to me and how life-changing it was. And I'm just going to explain the ways that that I attracted a narcissist into my life. And I just want to explain about the word attraction, because a lot of people misunderstand it when it's used in this context. So we're not talking about deliberate attracting, we're talking about there's something that we're unaware of that makes them, that we attract this kind of person into our orbit, and it's not deliberate. And also I want you to understand that there was, you might have chosen this person to have a relationship with, but it's not your fault what happened to you. Like it wasn't my fault what happened to me. And the other question that people sometimes, and I ask myself this, is like, how on God's green earth did I attract this horrendous experience, this appalling experience? And it's a really important question, and it's one we might be recoiling from, because it's not like we chose it, and on some level, no, we didn't choose it, and it's not our fault. But there is a reason why we did attract these people into our life. So another little thing I'd like to just clear up as well is that a lot of people feel guilty that they missed the signs, and maybe this is worthy of another video, but I just want to pop this in here, that was there something we did or something we missed that that caused us to attract this person? What did I need to know? Well, that is again another really, really important question, but I just want to reassure you on this point, because this is prevalent out in social media and narcissistic abuse communities, that knowing about narcissists will save you from narcissists, and this is not correct. Okay, because if we'd known, we wouldn't have gone anywhere near them. And also the warning signs were there, but we didn't see them. They were our blind spots. And if, like me, back in the day when I felt attracted to this person that I ended up marrying, I didn't have a clue about narcissists. I really didn't, and I don't know if it would have made any difference either. So just to back this point up a little bit, I know of a couple of very well known narcissist abuse recovery coaches and therapists who are still attracting narcissists into their relationships. Okay. Also, I know personally of psychologists, a couple of them, who have also attracted narcissists into relationships with them. And I also know of a psychologist personally who is highly narcissistic themselves. So unfortunately, knowing about them is not enough. But there is a real reason why it has happened to you. And this is what we're going to address in this video. So there is something really significant that's happening in you that makes you a match for narcissists. And, you know, I had to really get to grips with this, and I'm thankful so far that I've been 8 years narcissist free, and I'm attracting lovely people into my experience. So I'm grateful for the work I did on myself to sort of get to that level of feeling free from narcissism. It actually happened quite quickly. About 6 months post-split, I kind of got myself into quite a level place, and you can too. So I don't want you to feel that this is an impossible situation. This is why I'm posting my story as well, so that you know that you can do something about this. Okay, so I'm just going to tell a little story about, I mean, I'm chuckling to myself here because it was quite an interesting story and I'd forgotten about it, but when I was writing about this, it popped up and I thought it's worthy of a mention. So couples therapy for a narcissist. Okay, so the story goes like this. So when the marriage was entering its sort of final year, and there'd been some very significant issues, but at this stage I was desperate to fix the unfixable, basically. Again, that's worthy of another video. We had a single session of couples therapy, and looking back, I can see that it was really quite remarkable, and it was the beginning of my awareness of what was happening for me and what was happening inside of me that made me a match to this sociopath. So the therapist in question, she kind of had us both sat down there, and she turned to me first, and she kind of stated a few things that kind of reduced me to a bit of a tearful wreck. And she did it really quickly, but I think she just wanted to get me out. It seemed a bit callous at the time, but looking back, it was the best thing she could have done. And then when she'd spoken to me and we'd had this conversation, she turned her attention to the narcissist. And I kind of looked at him, and I actually saw he was frightened of this woman. He was petrified of her. I could see it and feel it. Which was a bit of a shock, and it was unusual because at this point one of his most attractive features was that he was fearless. He was just super confident, fearless. That was not a good thing, I later learned. I'll come back to that at another point. But he was looking very nervous, very frightened is the word I'd use. And I think it was because he knew he was about to meet his match, and he was about to be exposed, because this is the one thing that narcissists fear above all else. They don't want to be unmasked. It's one thing unmasking to a dupe, but it's another thing being unmasked in such a sort of public situation, as not that it was public, but in this context. So she pointed out a few things about his childhood, and he said, well, you know, everybody got treated like that in those days, and they were referring to harsh physical punishments. And I sort of chipped in that point, said, no, that's not true, because my father's family and his brothers who were the same generation as your dad, didn't treat their family like the way your dad treated yours. So that's not true. that everybody got treated like that in those days. So it was quite interesting. Anyway, she sort of turned back to me, and again, she was very direct about all of this. And she said, look, you can go and get yourself some help about this. There's something called EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Technique. It's also known as tapping. And there are other holistic energy healings and protocols that you can use to help yourself feel better. So she gave me very direct advice, which I acted on. And this is how I've managed to get free from all of this stuff. But then again, she turned to the ex and she said, I'm not sure about you. If you think all this is normal, then there's not a great deal you'll want to do about it. Is there? And they basically kind of, yeah, that was it. Because narcissists will not take it, they don't want to face accountability. They don't go to what hurts. They just double down on their manipulations. So this is why it's pointless going to couples therapy. It's also pointless trying to get closure from these people. Anyway, so as a result of this experience, I looked at trauma processing tools and protocols, and I was able to find things that I was looking for, and I still look for things that are useful. There's quite a lot out there if you use Google and go down that rabbit hole, and you will find things that you can use as well. So you can basically learn to acquire skills that you can do your own inner work, and you literally become your own therapist. So if you take one thing away from this video, it's that. You don't need to go into weekly therapy. I mean, it's helpful from time to time, but you need to empower yourself to help yourself in this way, which is what I did. And if I just relied on once a week weekly therapy, I wouldn't have got through the trauma that I was dealing with as a result of this marriage breaking down and things that happened subsequent to that. So you do need to get yourself armed with some tools. Okay, so just getting back to the point of the video. So so basically my childhood was pretty bad. It was very rough. We were from a wealthy background, but that was not really the point of it. So I knew I had experienced a troubled childhood, and I thought I'd sort of come to terms with it. I can say now that at the time I had only the slightest inkling of this being an issue. So now I can talk about it, that I was actually born into a narcissistic family system, and children growing up in this environment are growing up in a normalised, they're kind of normalising mistreatment and abuse. It becomes their normal, and children will adapt to fit around whatever their caregivers, however they are behaving, they will adapt to fit that, to get connection and attachment to their main caregivers. So this is how we become sort of programmed to expect mistreatment. I hope you're beginning to realise the significance of this. So I'm able to take a little bit of an overview now, but it has been difficult to sort of come to terms with it, really come to terms with it. So basically I was used to that narcissistic energy coming from somebody who was more powerful than me, and what I have been doing, and this is the attraction factor, is that I've been, and this is what children will do, they will, as grown children will do, is seek out a similar relationship in their adulthood where they can recreate what happened in the childhood and sort of close those loops to try and get that connection. It's like a quest that we have to, you know, get this connection to emotionally unavailable people, is a polite way of putting it, but this is where I had attracted a narcissistic partner. Now, so we can understand it from that point of view, but what we need to look at is the narcissist and the victim in the same context. And this is where it gets very difficult, because it's like we have shared experience. And what I mean by this is that for a narcissist and maybe codependent like I was, our shared experience is that we and this is the like attracting like that people get really upset about, but I want you to stick with this. So we shared horrific childhood trauma experiences. That's what we had in common. So also, as a result of that, what we had in common is that we were incredibly needy of love and validation, and children who have this experience have a yearning for love, for feeling cherished and feeling safe. And that was our common ground. Okay, but where things get different, okay, so where there's a difference, because it's like we've been created in the same conditions, but how does one person become a narcissist and one person become their victim? And this is where the paths diverge a little bit. So a narcissist who has experienced horrendous abuse will make the decision when they were a child that they are not going to be a victim anymore. And whatever made them a victim, they have suppressed, destroyed, and in the place of the true self of this person who was victimised, they create a false identity, a fake self. And this fake self has decided that they're not going to allow victimisation like this again, that in the mindset of this person, the world exists either as victims or victimisers, and that they are never going to be a victim. So therefore, they are going to be victimising people. And this is where the manipulation strategies start to come into play. And it's all very intentional. It's to save the person from becoming a victim. But there's also a lack of empathy. There's no empathy there. And this means that they can go to any level to create victims. And in creating victims of their own behaviour, it makes them feel powerful and it gives them energy. It's creating narcissistic supply. So they become energised by this behaviour. And it's an adaptation to feel safe and connected. And it was a little kid that decided that. But narcissists grow up with this fake persona and this adapted way of creating significance and connection. So that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is so they become energised and they feel powerful. So the other side of the coin is the victim of a narcissist who feels completely powerless. And in order to connect to the caregiver, they will acquiesce to whatever is decided by this powerful person. In my case, my mother. Maybe you have a narcissistic parent, and you will adapt. So I, in simple terms, decided I was going to be a people pleaser. I was not going to risk the wrath of facing rejection and abuse from this person. So I became a very sort of compliant child. I was very quiet, very shy, painfully shy, and frightened, fearful of creating rejection. And that was how I and it's the opposite side of the coin. So from those two shared experiences, if you like, there are two different ways of adapting to that horrific abuse. So this is where this is where we became a match to narcissism. We literally fit hand in glove with a narcissist. The difference is that we have a capability to feel and give love, and a narcissist has lost that ability. That was destroyed as a result of them making the decision to create victims. So we have that, and we can, and this is sort of saved me from this horrible pattern of attracting negative people, is that I have been able to reclaim my autonomy. I have been able to reparent my inner child, the child that needed significance, connection, love, feeling cherished, feeling safe. I have connected with her. This is what the inner work is. And I've been able to find the aspects of her that is able to love, offer love, and receive love. And this is how we can recover from this very difficult family dynamic. And so that's what healing is all about, is being able to take yourself out of this horrible pattern of seeking out people who will mistreat you. And it's like reparenting your inner child as well. So if you have children of your own, you would never allow anybody to mistreat your children. And probably as a result of your background as well, you would never do that to your children anyway, not knowingly. So you're able to step up and reparent yourself. So you become the parent that you never had for yourself. So I have 2 children, but really I have 3. I've got little Sarah, and I've got my two children as well. So I kind of offer a healthy parenting, hopefully, to everybody. So does that make sense, that we're kind of both sides of the same coin? I hope it hasn't depressed you too much, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that you can get inspired to find your own tools to reconnect with your inner child, and to clear some of those old stuck beliefs that kept us trapped in attracting narcissistic relationships. And those come from that little child self believing that she was unlovable, and that there was something wrong with her, and that she was always getting things wrong, or because those beliefs were made by a child when she was feeling unsafe. So I have now, looking back, I have forgiven myself for attracting narcissists, because I didn't know any better, and it all makes perfect sense to me now why I did. So I've kind of accepted that, I've come to terms with it, but I've also taken responsibility for my own recovery, because nobody's going to come and the cavalry isn't coming. Nobody's going to come and say, oh, I'll heal you, I will take you away from all of this. That's a manipulation that narcissists might use, by the way. You have to do it for yourself, or you have to find someone who understands this relationship dynamic and can offer you trauma processing protocols and therapy. So it's totally possible to get clear on this point. So yeah, it's our responsibility, and I think what you may have found from my other videos, or understood that, I was determined to do this work. There was no way I wanted to repeat attracting narcissists. I was done with narcissism, and I was sort of totally focused on dealing with this, and I was prepared to go to where it was tough. So you kind of have to be brave, but if you don't do it, no one else will. But the prize for being brave enough to go there is that you get your life back on track better than it was before. I'm not saying you're going to get your life back, because let's face it, if you've had a difficult upbringing and you've picked up faulty beliefs, you don't really want to go back to that. That's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You've got to sort of believe that if I don't change, nothing changes. So I will do whatever I can in the ways that I know that works to change my attraction factor, so that I attract better relationships, because it works the opposite. So you were a narcissist magnet, but now you're attracting good relationships, and isn't it far better to be attracting great relationships? And it's nothing to do with what to look for in a narcissist. It really is nothing to do with that. It's about how you feel about yourself on the inside. So the looking out for red flags is a distraction, because you would never have seen them. And unless you heal those inner identities of that little kid trying to survive, you will always be acting out of those beliefs that little kid made. And you don't want to do that. You want to grow up emotionally. You want to teach yourself how to handle the traumas that you lived through when you were a child, how to process them. So we've dealt with the how did I attract a narcissist. The final question, which, dare we ask, why did I attract a narcissist? Why? We've dealt with how, but why? Why does narcissism exist anyway? Okay, again, these are sort of relevant questions, very important questions. So, why did I attract a narcissist? Well, I had to really get to grips with the kind of things that I was dealing with, which you may have seen in my other videos, were pretty extreme. And if it hadn't been that extreme, I wouldn't have made that decision to do the work on myself. I know for a fact I would have sort of limped along, trying to fix the unfixable forever. But it had to be that bad to make me sit up, take notice, and think, no, I don't want this anymore. I want something different. So that's why the narcissist appeared in my life, to make me do something different, to heal myself. And then when I'd healed myself primarily from that narcissist, then it laid the foundations for me to then look into my childhood a lot more, and to heal my childhood traumas, and to have a full understanding, awareness of what happened to me when I was a little kid. I don't think I could have coped with that first, but healing myself from the narcissist enabled me to go in and clear up a lot of unprocessed trauma from my childhood, and understanding and becoming aware of what I'd actually gone through as a child. And that was why I think life sent me this experience. And the prize, because there is a prize for doing this, you are compensated in life. When you take responsibility for your healing, life will compensate you in the most incredible ways. You will attract beautiful relationships. The relationships with your family, mostly your children, will absolutely blossom in ways that you couldn't have even imagined. And the possibilities that life now opens up for you is amazing. And to live on purpose and to work towards creating a happier life is a real gift, and not many people get that. And that was why narcissism showed up for me. Maybe it's the same for you. So it's, I think there's a Leonard Cohen song, isn't there, about when we break down, that's how the light gets in. And that's the purpose of narcissism, to let the light in. It's so that we can understand who we are as a human, and we can fully evolve to live our best human life free from narcissism. So that's a massive bonus. And if it needed to be a strong message to get it, then we have to take the lesson. Okay, so I hope that helps. I'm sorry that you've had to go through all of this. Some people just seem to have a better life, don't they? But we didn't all come from feathered nests, and perhaps there was a reason why everything was the way it was, is so we can claim our amazing life, our amazing human life, and get happy now. So if any of this is resonating with you, if you'd like to connect with me, all my social media links are in the description. I have a Facebook group that is a very safe space for you if you would like to pop inside and connect to people who are on a similar journey. It is a very safe space. It's a very high vibrational space as well. You can also sign up to my regular newsletter as well if you'd like. So that's it from me today. If you'd like to see another video about this, you can find it here, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.